range. Oh man, well today was an utter failure, but even in failure there's still things to be learned, so still success. The first thing was I forgot my hat, so I always have a plan, so I carry a schmog and I use that to wrap around my head, but I think I still got sunburned. The other thing is it's ridiculously windy, so about 25 mile an hour winds, blowing my papers everywhere, blowing my bag. My bag probably weighs, without my gun in it, it still weighs probably 10-15 pounds, and I mean it was just blowing it everywhere. It was shaking, it was blowing so much, I mean it was shaking me, I just couldn't hold the gun completely still. But I was like, you know what, I'm gonna shoot it anyway. That's what makes you a better shooter, is shooting in conditions that are good. So that I don't mind. In this specific situation where I'm trying to get data, what I was needing data on, because of the wind, it was going to greatly affect it. Now if I'm shooting supersonics, long range stuff like that, then bring on the wind. That's how you get better. In this situation, it didn't get better. It was a failure. The other thing that I learned was I used some powder off Hodgen's website, got the data from there. I use other sources to just double check everything. I have all the powder, everything written down, so I will get back on, I'll roll some other video in with this video that I'm making. But essentially running some 208s down into the 700 feet per second range, and what it ended up doing is caused the bottom of the case to swell. So I would assume it's overpressure because there's not enough powder to push the bullet. So it was running so slow that it caused some overpressure, expanded the cases. It actually had trouble getting the case out of the barrel, out of the chamber. So I need to up some of those charges. So that was a little frustrating. Nothing really worked the way I had planned. A little bit cooler today, so I assumed the velocity was going to drop on some of the rounds that I've previously made, that I used that as a something to compare everything else to, and those are running significantly lower, right in the I think 980 range, and typically those rounds I've noticed will push supersonic in the summertime. So that's why the reason I dropped that 1 grain. Normally go 9.1 grains of H110 with a 208 grain ELD. That was shooting 980, 990, which was a whole lot slower. So I didn't expect that, but I still got it sighted in with that round. Still did a good inch, maybe inch and a half group because the wind was ridiculous. Other than that, man, it was a failure. But I'm gonna post it anyway. That's what I'm doing. Hopefully this will kind of show you a couple things to do, some things not to do. One of the rounds, so the original round that I used to sight it in with, when I shot with the round that was going like 700 feet per second, it didn't even touch the paper. So that group looks terrible. So I went ahead, I loaded up 10 of those rounds against my better judgment. I went ahead and shot it, didn't have any issues in my scope. The first round I shot was like, this is 100 yards. It was at least 10 mils to the right. I mean, it just completely flew right. And I could see where it hit and kind of estimated in my scope. The next round hit pretty much where I was aiming at. Third round was, it was 4 or 5 mils high. The next round went probably 5 mils low. I mean, they were all over the place. So I don't know what was going on there. But when I did the velocity test, they were just showing really low. So I'm assuming because it was so low, maybe it's losing stability. And they were just going everywhere, probably tumbling. I don't know. I didn't hit anything where I could get evidence of that. I was just kind of shooting out the can and some dirt. All the other rounds I loaded, they were still pretty low as well. I didn't get anything that was in that, 1,000 feet per second range like I was wanting, except for the IMR 4198. That still did pretty well. So I'm going to double check on some of the other powders that I used, and I don't know. I just know what else to say. It was, for what my intended purpose was, definitely a fail, but still a success because I did learn some stuff. So on with the video. I'll be rolling all the other footage and everything in with this. So I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you.